Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about recognizing patterns, agendas, um, things that are put into place by this thing I've talked about in the past. This thing that's beyond human control, has the ability to um, push through agendas, um, steer the course of governments. Um, beyond the reach of normal human control, I guess you'd say. Anyway, I was checking out this video. It was just released from the autodidactic channel, and it was the discussion they had about mirrors, and I guess about mirrors slash the phones, AI, um, and it got me thinking about these patterns, these the things that are put out there, and then what you can do, when you recognize them, what you can do. And basically, I guess their discussion was about you know mirrors and how they might be portals or whatever. I don't know about any of that stuff, but um, as far as on the human psyche, the effect that it has, like they're saying that maybe you look in the mirror every day, so um, you maybe you want to present your best face forward. If you're a woman, you want to apply makeup and whatever, and that's not your authentic self. Um, and if you look at yourself in the mirror, then it might make you feel less than, and so it's kind of a way to make you have um, you know uh, lack of self-esteem or self-confidence because of what you see in a reflection, um, which in and of itself is not really the real you anyway, because it's a mirror image, so therefore it's reversed, right? So you're not actually seeing yourself, you're seeing a mirror image of yourself. um, so anyway, I mean, I agree with those things. um, and it takes me back to a song by Living Color, Cult of Personality, right? And it kind of points to a couple of things about on that subject, right? And it says, neon lights, Nobel Prize, when a mirror speaks, the mirror lies, right? And it does, because again, like I said, you look in the mirror, you're not seeing yourself, you're seeing a flipped version of yourself, right? Um, so you know, it's an inverted truth, right? It's not, it's pretty much the opposite of it. Um, so if all these things are true about causing people to have low self-esteem or feeling some kind of negative ways about it, um, making them fearful about certain things, and this thing that's running behind the scenes, it's going to feed on those energies, right? Those feelings of those negative feelings. um, but I guess in the end of the day, what for me, what it is I look at it and I say, well, then I guess you could take all the mirrors out of where you live, right? um, but I don't think that would really, I don't think that's necessary. I think once you realize the things that the programs that are in place that are running, once you recognize what they're doing, you don't have to buy into it anymore. You know, um, I mean, I use the mirror to shave, whatever. Um, I mean, I don't stare in the mirror all the time. I mean, I'm not a woman, so I wouldn't wear makeup or anything. Um, I don't have a, I don't have a crazy hairdo that I have to style. So I don't really need the mirror much. Um, but I'm not gonna get rid of the mirror in the bathroom. I mean, I know the things about it. I know that it's in place. So I just tell myself that I'm not gonna play into those things. And I mean, I haven't played into those things for a very long time. Um, about the superficial, about the you know, trying to, like I said, the superficial parts about it, whether it's an in-style hairstyle, or um, dyeing your gray hairs, whatever the case may be. So I mean, so that would be the thing. You know, you recognize that program that's running in association with some certain thing, some certain aspect of your life that you've been around your whole life, right? Who hasn't in you know in the Western world, who hasn't grown up, with a mirror, all the time. But once you recognize those aspects of it, that you know who knows where it comes from, the origins, for sure. But once you recognize that, that energy that is being sought by that thing, then don't give it what it wants. Um, Turn it around, realize that, okay, then I don't care about, you know, how I look on the outside, to anyone. I don't care if my hair turns gray. I don't care if you're a woman, you don't have to wear makeup to try to cover up, you know, crow's feet or whatever. Um, but that's a personal choice. But you can still wear makeup and not really care about, what people think of your appearance. That's up to you what you want to do. But I'm just saying that once you can separate, and once you know the program that's running, then you can just refuse to give it that energy. Um, and then the greater part is break that pattern. You know, I don't know if you're old. I don't know how many are old enough to remember. It's kind of a long time ago. I think it might have been, in the '90s, early '90s maybe, where they had the that story about the Menendez brothers. And of course, the official story is, who really knows what happened. And in the end of the day, if you're not directly affected, it doesn't really matter to you. But I guess what I'm just saying is, um, I'm going to use the official story as a way to see something and break a pattern. And that is simply that, basically, the part of their defense you know um, for what they did was that, well, they were abused. So you know they were abused, therefore that's what caused them to do what they did. And that's it's pretty ridiculous to claim that, right? I mean, I look at it like, we talk about inheriting things, right? So you inherit things. So you can inherit things like the color of your eyes, um, from your parents, or from your ancestry, and maybe the color of your eyes, the color of your hair, maybe your genetic potential for how tall you might be, um, you know. But there's also things that you inherit that have nothing to do, like things like, okay, let's say your parents and your family is overweight, and you're overweight since you're a kid. Well, is that because you're consuming too many calories and everyone in your family does the same thing? So growing up, you did the same thing, and you never broke the cycle. It's up to you to break that cycle, right? Um, you can inherit a fortune from your family. You can inherit poverty from your family. These are not um, genetic traits. These are from patterns, and these are from, things that circumstances in your life, choices you made. Um, but it's up to you to break those patterns, right? I've heard people say, all the time, like, oh, they come from an abusive family. They were abused, physically abused by their parents. And so what do? Most times they grow up, if they have children, they abuse them. Why, right? Oh, well, it's a pattern. It's some, in some ways you might call it a tradition. If it's multi-generational, that's might sound kind of sick, but it is what it is, right? It's a pattern, it's a cycle that's carried through. And it's up to you to control your actions, right? Irrespective of if you're abused when you have children, you don't have to abuse them because you're abused. Break the cycle. You should be the one to make that positive change, right? I mean, if you want to live the most fulfilled life you can, um, the way to do it is by not hurting other people, for one. Um, so you got to break that cycle, right? If the if the cycle is, I mean, okay, let's say you grew up and your parents didn't feed you too many calories and you were fit, and as time went by you didn't control your consumption and you became overweight, morbid obese, or whatever. um you know you got to break the cycle if you want to change it, right? You got to intake less calories, and you can't blame uh heredity. You can't blame um some type of medical condition. You got to just break the cycle, right? You got to take the action to do it yourself. um so many people in our culture today too, it's so much of it is like people are encouraged to be a victim, right? To point the finger at everybody else and blame others for their perceived lack or their perceived pain or their perceived problems. But in the end of the day, it's up to you, you know, for you can control the things you can control. I mean, things are out of your control. There's nothing you can do. But things like consuming X amount of calories, that's or too if you consume too many, that's up to you. Now, maybe if you're in extreme poverty, maybe it's hard for you to get enough calories and you'll be too thin. There's that. But I'm just saying, like, all things being equal, if you're morbid obese, you're consuming too many calories, and you gotta you gotta eat less. Um, that's all there is to it. But anyway, breaking these cycles. Once you recognize these things that they cause the negative emotions, right? And like I said in a previous video, it's like let's say your family is a you know forever fans of whatever, the Chicago Bears or whatever, the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox or something, um for generations, um and then the people that they get fanatical, they do crazy things, they start acting in the name of something they've put themselves in a box into, you know and they end up doing things that hurt other people, physical violence, stuff like that. I mean, you gotta step back and you gotta say, hey, I'm gonna break this cycle too, um I mean, you can follow your favorite team, but once goes into the realm of you're hurting other people, you're you're damaging other people's property, you're these type of things, that's not good anymore. That's not okay anymore. You got to break those cycles, whatever it is. If you see something for what it is at the root of it, and you see the negativity part of it, you gotta break free for yourself. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it means losing people that you were consider friends, whatever. But I feel like that's the best way to react when you or respond when you see these things that are out there that are that bring the negativity out in you. Break away. Be a free thinker. You know, once you question the things and once you figure out what's going on, break that cycle, break those patterns. You know, and I think you'll be more fulfilled. In this short time we have here. Um, but anyway, that's all I kind of wanted to talk about, and I will talk later. Thanks.